New players on Magic Online rejoice as Daybreak Games and the Magic Online team and their list of W's just continues to grow with the announcement of new pre-constructed decks for players looking to get into the formats they love, as well as an injection of over 2,000 cards for Brewers, Commander players, and anybody alike on Magic Online. And that's what I want to talk about today. The article that they released yesterday talking about some of these announcements and what they're bringing to the new player program and potentially some direction in the future. Now, some of these announcements are not without their criticism, especially around the pre-constructed decks. I do have a lot of thoughts as to whether or not they're actually even logical for the cards that they've included, but all in due time. Let's get right into the video. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this in the future, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. And of course, leave a like on the video if you like what you're seeing. Now, hopping right into the article here, we have the new for Magic Online. In the subsection here, the problem with the old new. Fundamentally, we updated the contents of the new player offerings because the previous contents did not support the right goals or motivate desired behavior. The main problem was that the old upgrade kit attempted to get new players going primarily on play points being the in-game, if you will, currency for those of you familiar with other online systems right now, and ticks being the paid for currency as well. On the surface, it might seem appropriate to ensure that new Magic Online players have flexible event entry options, but play points end up not serving them well because they're too open-ended. They point towards events with entry fees and prizes that aren't where a new player should start, and they don't know what the right event to enter is and worry about how they would do so if they did have some play points. Frankly, if they are a first-time Magic Online player, probably not great. Now, some low or no stakes play to get them comfortable with and interface makes sense for Magic Online, but there's no pre-constructed decks for new players to really get going and try things out, and that's kind of the solution that they want to provide. It's not particularly controversial to suggest that new players should get to playing low pressure Magic ASAP, and play points just aren't doing that. So removing them wasn't the easy solution right now, and it is a long-term solution, as they've said, to potentially the win trading idea that's going on, because you can just kind of go infinite on these low queue formats like standard, where a lot of people have shifted onto arena. You can just prevent some of the win trading if you remove some of the prize incentives, but play points allowing for a small collection with commons and uncommons, instead of doing all that, multiple playable decks. And this is where some of my criticism is really going to start coming in. We're going to review some of these deck lists as well, and there are some glaring issues. So we have Pioneer Humans, Pauper Delver, Commander with Braids being the commander, Mono Black Braids I should mention, and then Mono Red Burn in Legacy, and Modern Green Infect in the modern format. Now, there's one for every color, which I think is an interesting take. I think it's also interesting that they're not offering maybe multicolor mana bases, but that is potentially being solved in the later product around Commander. Firstly, let's just hop into the deck lists themselves. I really want to take a look at some of these problems here. So if we take a look at the kind of Mox Field link that they provided, which is actually really cool. I honestly think that just using this platform in general for this new MTGO account, by the way, link down below to all of this, is great. But hopping into the Legacy, Modern, and Pauper decks, which is what I really want to comment on. Modern Infect is where I want to start. So if we click on this link right here, the first thing that comes out to me, first of all, it's mono green. So you don't have unblockable Infect, right? You don't have that 2 mana Infect creature. The lands are just 19 forests. Woo, that's okay. So you don't have Inkmoth Nexus, which is literally a staple of the deck. Now, a lot of people would say, sure, maybe due to price restrictions or whatever it might be, some type of capitalistic excuse, 19 forests. The real problem is that when you take a look at the sideboard, Warping Whale is in the sideboard. Warping Whale requires a colorless mana to cast, specifically colorless mana. It cannot be generic, but there's no way to produce colorless mana in this deck. So how do you cast this card in the sideboard? Funny enough, Inkmoth Nexus would actually solve that. Inkmoth Nexus does say 1, but it's been errated since to say colorless. It does tap for 1 colorless mana, not 1 generic. That would actually solve this problem if Inkmoth Nexus was in here. So now you have an uncastable card in your sideboard. You have a 12 card sideboard when you buy this deck. Definitely something that they can fix and iterate on, but not that big of a solution at the moment. So maybe by the time this is released, they've changed this. You know, again, as the recording of this video, this hasn't been changed, but definitely something to change moving forward. Other than that, you have some basic pump spells. I think in general, this deck, even fully built out, is really like a tier 3 meme deck in Modern. Just so much removal and interaction in the format right now. Main board spell pierces and everything. It's so hard to get a creature heavy all in a deck like this to really work without the pieces. So just not going to be that great, but an interesting starting point. Now, if we go back and we go to Legacy Burn, this is one that is this is one of the more egregious ones, in my opinion. So firstly, the first thing I look at is when you play Legacy Burn, I realize that the creatures are going to be a little budget. You can't just put Goblin Guides in anything. I get that. So you have a Young Pyromancer and a Bedlam Reveler for some card drop. My big problem is that the most iconic red card in all of Magic, Lightning Bolt, is only a 1 of in this deck. That is a crime. That's an absolute crime. You have great Legacy Burn spells like Flame Rift, which notably are Modern League now. Price of Progress as well. Heck, even the sideboard, we have you know, some weird options like Guttural Response instead of Pyroblast. But look, not having a playset of Lightning Bolts is an absolute crime against humanity when it comes to this deck. You just include 4 Lightning Bolts. I don't care what the other card. Just include 4 we don't need to light up the stage. Frankly, I don't know why we need a Sonic Burst. We can drop like a Skullcrack. You don't need all these Price of Progresses. I get it. Price of Progress is to punish all the multicolored decks. It's a good card right now. Lightning Bolt needs to be a 4 of. Straight up. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this burn deck can work without 4 Lightning Bolts? Crazy. Insane. The last deck that I want to talk about, Pauper Delver. This one's a bit of a small one. But my biggest problem with this is the fact that we're making changes to a deck in a format where decks cost dollars, cards cost pennies. Pauper, a format full of commons. I get it. Some cards are going to be more expensive than others, but a lot of the list is the same. The creature base is fine. You have Delver, Serpent, Tolarian, Murmuring Mystic as well. The creature suite is fine. Where my problem lies is in Mental Journey. Mental Journey is 6 mana for an instant speed draw 3, basic land cycling 2. This is the replacement to Lorien Reveal. Lorien Revealed is a sorcery speed draw 3 at 1 less mana, but island cycling 1. It's such a vast difference. Lorien Revealed, you can keep a 1-lander and still have Lorien Revealed to draw you out of that. That is the power of Lorien. You can't do that with Mental Journey. And in a tempo control deck like this, mana matters. This being 1 more is absolutely massive. This costing 1 more to basic land cycle is absolutely massive. On turn 2, you should be able to force spike and basic land cycle. You should be able to opt and basic land cycle. Like you're just not able to do that with this Mental Journey. This is why are we making concessions on Pauper decks? I don't know. Look, my 3 biggest criticisms are there. The sideboard not having Hydroblast. I guess, whatever. You know what? There's plenty of options that you can make work. It's just there's 4 Jace's Phantasms. What? If an opponent has 10 or more cards in their graveyard, when is this gonna happen? This is supposed to be against graveyard hate? Get out of here. Come on. Look, those are my criticisms. We can definitely be making changes to this, and I get it. As a new player, maybe there's some concessions we can make, but I don't think taking new players' abilities away to actually play the game is actually a net positive thing in any way, shape, or form. So let's just get that out of the way. Big criticism for that. If we just hop back into the article here, I think in total it is a net positive. I don't want to just undermine that whatsoever. I think this is a net positive. This is great, but the individual cards themselves, I think, are really holding players back, and it's not really a true pre-con experience. We can do a little bit better. Now, I also want to include the instant collection, the 2,000 cards that I mentioned. Lastly, we added a boatload of cards to the account upgrade kit, over 5,000. As said, on top of that, it's packed with good stuff. Players are actively running in decks, not random bulk. You'll find playsets of cards for your competitive constructed formats and singletons for Commander that you see a lot of action in the plays, in the queues, I should mention. So Cards like Isochron Scepter, Brain Freeze, Lightning Greaves, just a lot of great options there. You get some playsets of lands, but the big thing is the Commander Workshop. So speaking of value, if you play Commander at all or know people that do, you got to check out Tony Mayer's article on the other piece of this update on the Commander Workshop. For one cost of our Commander Precon, you can eject 2,000 Commander cards, mostly rares and mythics, which, okay, you might get into the whole Comet Storm argument with that one, directly into your Magic Online collection. Bottomless brewing with a ton of Commander staples, including many of the most sought after cards in the format. Let's take a look at that. So right here, Commander Workshop, 2,000 cards for 39 bucks. Pretty good deal there. Rares and mythics are 96% of the box set. Again, we have to see the whole list. Again, link to that is going to be down below. 375 cards in the workshop can serve as commanders, and over 40 planeswalkers are included, which is also great value too. Over 120 sets are represented. Look at some of these cards: Wheel of Fortune, Nykthos, Urberg, the Ozolith, iconic stuff like the Sliver Queen or Academy Rector. A lot of really powerful cards that honestly I wish I had in my paper commander decks. These are all really great cards, and this, I think, net positive. I think just for this price, the amount of cards that you're getting, the brewing power that you're getting, and some of these just one-ofs that you're getting as well are really powerful, like definitely playable in other formats as well. Nykthos, based on my Pioneer friends, maybe, you know, not too sought after this world in terms of constructed, probably should be banned, but regardless. Also, this bottom piece of the article where they're showing people how to import decks and help as well. Stuff like this is fantastic because there's so many random videos out there. Magic Online truly is like a really inaccessible platform when you think about it, but once you're onboarded, it's great. You're going to be able to play all the formats that you love and older formats that you may not be able to try thanks to rental services like Mana Traders, allowing you to play Vintage and Legacy and Modern, which honestly, thanks to the Magic Online ecosystem, or the economy, I should say, are a lot cheaper than Modern decks, Standard decks, Pioneer decks. Yeah, you could be playing Vintage at a cheaper price than those thanks to Magic Online economy. So I think in general, net positive here, and this is a fantastic announcement. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about this article. What are your criticisms with the constructed decks? With the links down below, what do you think of the 5,000 or the 2,000, I should say, cards being injected with the Commander Precons? Was the list great? What are some notable mentions? I just want to hear all of it down below. Okay, Magic Online just taking big W's here, and also bonus, list some of the other big W's that Daybreak Games and Magic Online have been doing that you've seen, maybe even personal stories of yourself. I'd love to hear that and just amalgamate them in general, because it's very important just to spread the good love here. If Magic is succeeding, it's important to highlight that and really eternalize that in many ways. So again, sound off in the comments. Let's hear about it. Magic Online is just up for a bright whole new future, and it's going to be very important for us to be a part of it, to support it, and get on the platform and play some Magic.